In the economics, all over 5 chapters are there. From that 5, one we have studied. What was that? Development. All about development we have studied. Now, we are moving ahead with the next part of the economics. That is the sectors of Indian economy. Actually, not only Indian economy. First, in the initial part, we are going to study all about economy. And then, in the later on, we will study about the Indian economy. Am I audible to all?
Yes.
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 काय काम आहे? चालू आहे का म्हणले का फक्त? What? नाही इथं नाही दिसत ते, तिथं दिसतंय. तिथं का दिसतंय कळेना. Can we move? Secondary activity. In the secondary activity, manufacturing is important. Remember class 8 geography. It was completely there. The primary activities were also there, secondary activity were also there. So the secondary activity, the economic activities which are related to the manufacturing process. For example, manufacturing of steels falls under secondary sector. Just example is given here of the steel, but all the manufacturing activities involves in the secondary sector. Understand? Primary, secondary. It is very easy. It is not needing to confuse here. The tertiary activity. Services, where production is not there, but it gives services, provides services, that all activities involves in the tertiary activities. This is called also service sector. This sector is also called service sector. As the secondary sector called manufacturing sector, in that way, this sector is also called service sector. May in this way also the question will be there. Which sector is called service sector, or what is the next name for the tertiary activities or the tertiary sector? So it is the service sector. The economic activities that are mostly based on providing service to the society like transportation, banking, insurance, etc. falls under tertiary activities. Understood? All three kind of activities, all three sectors on the base of activities. These sectors are classified on the base of activities. Understand? Really? Economic activities, though, are grouped into 3 different categories, are highly interdependent. All these activities are interdependent. No one sector is independent. If a farmer produces the sugarcane and he will not send the sugarcane to the sugar factory, what is the use of that sugarcane? He must be send that sugarcane to the factory. He cannot say, I produced it, let it at my home. Can he say? No. So the table is here given. You have to fill up this table. The example, first one is given with the solution. Imagine what would happen if farmer refused to sell sugarcane to the particular sugar mill. The mill will have to shut down. The mill will be not start, or it will not work. What does this show? This is an example of the secondary or industrial sector being depend on the primary. Understand? Next is, imagine what would happen to cotton cultivation if companies decide not to buy from the Indian market and import all cotton they need from other countries. What will happen? If the companies are decided, we will not buy raw material from the Indian farmers, we will buy the all raw material from the foreign countries. Come on, think. In the second part, it is given what will happen there. Indian cotton cultivation will become less profitable. Where they will sell if the companies will not buy? It will be questioned there. And farmers may even go bankrupt. What is bankrupt? Karzbazaripana, do you know? Taking more loan, but unable to pay the loan. So the loan increases day by day. That is called bankrupt. Understand the term? Karzbazaripana. Very easily we can understand. Taking the loan, but the farmer is unable to repay the loan, and the loan increases. The interest of that loan increases day by day. So these people will become bankrupt. If they cannot quickly switch to other crops, cotton prices will fall. What it shows. Yes, primary sector is also dependent on the secondary sector. Understand? Turn to the next. Farmers buy many goods such as tractor, pump set, electricity, pesticides, and fertilizers. They're buying, they're needing it. The primary sector itself is not working. It is also depend on the others. If these modern equipments would be not there, they would work with the traditional equipment, and it will be not give more production to them or to the farmers. So they are needing the modern technicals or modern equipment to get more production. Imagine what would happen if the prices of fertilizers or pump sets go up. Cost of cultivation of the farmers will rise and their profit will be reduced. It would be happen. जेवढं इन्व्हेस्टमेंट केलंय, जेवढं त्याचं आउटपुट मिळणार आहे त्याच्यापेक्षा जास्त इन्व्हेस्टच करावं लागत असेल. So no use of that. So what it is showing? Farmers buy many goods such as tractors, pump set, electricity, pesticides, and fertilizers. Imagine what would happen if the price of fertilizers or pump sets go up. Farmers will be not ready to get farmer. One question I put in last week in our geography test. The Indian farmers are not in the willing. Their son should get farmer here. Why? Because these are the reasons here. Remember? So cause of this cost, they will not earn more and they may leave the agriculture or may turn toward the other activities. If they will turn toward the other activities, what will happen? Who will provide, who will produce in the farming? So what is it showing? Primary sector provides, or the secondary sector is dependent on the primary. People working in the industrial and service sector need food. Everyone need food, whether he is working or not, anywhere. काम केलं काय नाही केलं काय भूक काय लागायची राहत नाही का राहते? Is there someone? I didn't today work any work, so today I am not feeling any. I am not needing any food. Let it. It is not going to happen. Everyone need food. Imagine what would happen if there is a strike by transporters and lorries refuse to take vegetables, milks, etc. for rural areas. Food will become scarce in urban areas, whereas farmers will be unable to sell their products. What does it show? Both activities are depend on the tertiary. Transportation. The importance of transportation is shown through this part. So I hope you understand the interdependence of the all sectors. No sector is independent able to work. Every sector is depend on the other, whether it is a primary, whether it is a secondary, whether it is a tertiary. Every sector is important. Tertiary sector people cannot say, we are intelligent, we are working here, we are providing service, we are educated, we are not dependent on the primary or secondary. No, you are dependent on the primary and secondary. Understood? Really? Okay, put a glance in a book once. Next part. Comparing the three sectors. Now we are going to look the comparison of these all three sectors. Why? How they contributes in the Indian economy. What is the contribution of which sector we will see in this part. The various production activities in the primary, secondary and tertiary sectors produce a very large number of goods and services. The different activities produces different goods and different services, whether it is belonging from the primary, secondary or tertiary. Every activity producing something in the form of goods or in the form of service. Something all the activities are providing or the producing. Understand? Also, the three sectors have a large number of people working in them to produce these goods and services. This provides employment, large employments. All these three sectors are providing large employments. Large number of people are engaged in these all activities. Understand? The next step, therefore, is to see how much goods and services are produced and how many people work in each sector. So now we are going to analyze in which sector how much people are engaged and how much production is there, how much input is there and how much output is there. In the comparison of the input, whether we are getting the output or not, we are going to see in this next part. In an economy, there could be one or more sectors which are dominant in terms of total production and employment, while other sectors are relatively small in a size. Whichever economy is it, whether it is the Indian economy, whether it is the USA economy, in that economy, one sector always remains dominating, whether it is primary, secondary or tertiary. In India, primary sector is dominating. Maybe in another country where industrialization is more, in that country industrialization or the secondary sector will be dominating. If the country is too developed, like European countries, in European countries services are dominating. How do we count the various goods and services and know the total production in each sector? These answers we will see in this part. With too many thousands of goods and services produced, you might think this is an impossible task. It is very complex, but it is done. It is not easy to understand which sector is taking more input and giving what is output there, but it is done here. You might think this is an impossible task. Not only would the task be enormous, you might also wonder how we can add up cars and computers and nails and furniture. It won't make sense. Everything is done here. How it is, we will see. You are right in thinking so. To get around these problems, economists suggest that the values of goods and services should be used rather than adding up the actual numbers. So what is done while counting here? Every activity is not counted. So what is counted? The value of every activity. The market value of every activity is counted here to look the contribution of that particular activity in the Indian economy. Understand? Primary activity मधून किती production आलं, primary sector मधून किती production आलं, secondary production ची value किती झाली आणि tertiary production ची किती value झाली, त्या सर्व value बघितल्या जातात. Value मध्ये मोजलं जातं. प्रत्येक ऍक्टिव्हिटी बघायची नाही. ऍग्रिकल्चर किती आलं, मिल्क किती आलं, differently it is not there. From primary sector, all the primary sector, from the secondary sector, from tertiary sector. Understand? The example is given here. Very easy this example to understand. For example, if, is it the same example in your book? 10,000 kg of wheat is sold at rupees 8 per kg. Is it same? There are differences in data year wise in the book. That is why I am asking. The value of wheat will be rupees 80,000. The value of 5,000 coconuts at the 10% price will be rupees 50,000. Similarly, the value of goods and services in the three sectors are calculated and then added up. Read this paragraph again and understand how it is made in a value. Ten thousand kg of the wheat, which is sold at the 8 rupees per kg. So the value of wheat is became 80,000. Then the value of coconuts, it is of the coconuts are 5,000. Per coconut 10 rupees. 5,000 into 10, 50,000. So in that way, services are also count here. Understand? Remember, there is one precaution one has to take. Not every good that is produced and sold needs to be counted. प्रत्येक गोष्ट विकलेली मोजलीच पाहिजे असं नाही. त्याचं फायनल व्हॅल्यू बघायचं. जर बिस्किट असेल the example of biscuit is here given. How the final value is calculated. There is one precaution one has to take. Not every good or service that is produced and sold need to be counted. It makes sense only to include the final goods and services. फायनल जी काय त्याची व्हॅल्यू आहे ती बघायची. प्रत्येक गोष्ट मोजायची नाही. तोच गहू त्याच गव्हाला दळल्यानंतर दळायला किती रुपये दिले? 10 रुपये दिले. 4 किलो गहू आणला तर त्याला 10 रुपये दिले. तो नंतर बेकरीमध्ये नेला. बेकरीमध्ये त्या बेकरनी काय पैसे घेतले असतील? त्यामध्ये शुगर ऍड करावी लागते. प्रत्येकाचं वेगवेगळं काढायचं नाही. एक बिस्किट बनवण्याला किती खर्च आला एवढं काढायचं. आलं लक्षात? बिस्किट गहू एवढ्याचा आणला, साखर एवढ्याची आणली, त्या परत बेकरीला एवढा खर्च झाला, ते मिक्सचर करायला एवढा वेळ दिला. प्रत्येकाला वेगवेगळं काढायचं नाही. तर एक बिस्किट करण्यासाठी एक बिस्किट करताना एवढा खर्च काढला की सर्वांची व्हॅल्यू निघते ऑटोमॅटिक. जर डबल काउंट केला, तुम्ही बिस्किटची ही किंमत काढली आणि गव्हाची व्हॅल्यू केली तर गहू 2 वेळा मोजला जाईल, शुगर 2 वेळा मोजली जाईल. आर यू गेटिंग? So that is why the final value is calculated always. Final goods and services. Take for instance a farmer who sells wheat to a flour mill for rupees 8 per kg. The mill grinds the wheat and sell the flour to a biscuit company for 10 per kg. आता पहिले 8 रुपये इथं पकडायचे नाही, इथं फक्त हेच 10 रुपये पकडायचे. पकडले तर the biscuit company uses the flour and things such as sugar and oil to make 4 packets of biscuits. It sells biscuits in the market to the consumer rupees 60, that is the 50 per packet. Biscuits are the final goods that reach to the consumer. So here we have to look the value of final goods, not of the raw material. If you will take the both values, the raw material and the final goods, it may make more confusion. Double S in output yield. Getting? The reason is also given here. Why we are looking only the final goods and services. Why are only final goods and services counted in contrast to final goods? Goods such as wheat and the wheat flour in this example are intermediate goods. Intermediate goods are used up in producing final goods and services. The value of final goods already includes the value of all the intermediate goods that are used in making the final goods. Are you getting? The raw materials value is already counted in the final goods value. That is why we are not looking to the raw material value here. We are just looking the final goods value. Understand? Repetition होऊ नये, confusion होऊ नये, विनाकारण मोठा फुगवटा दिसू नये म्हणून क्लासमध्ये मुलं किती आहेत? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 9 students are here in the class. Online class maybe 30 40 are there. So 24. So these 24 and this 9. Today the class attended by 35 students. Understand? Value of all other intermediate goods would have been included to count the value of the flour and wheat separately is therefore not correct, because then we would be counting the value of the same thing a number of times, first as a wheat, then as a flour, and finally biscuit. Understand why we are looking only the value of final goods? In this last paragraph it is given. The value of final goods and services produced in each sector during a particular year provides the total production of the sector for that year. When we were looking about the GDP in the chapter manufacturing, geography, it was that. So that time you understand what is meaning of GDP. This is the definition of the GDP again. The value of final goods and services produced in each year during a particular year provides a total production of the sector for that year. GDP always measured for a particular year. Do you remember? This is not already. And the sum of production in these three sectors gives what we call the gross domestic product or the GDP of a country. It is the value of the final goods and services produced within a country during a particular year. Whenever GDP's reference is there, you will not forget the GDP is measured for a during particular year and a particular country. The GDP of India will be different. The GDP of USA will be different. The GDP of 2019 will be different. GDP of 2018 will also different, because the production is measured here from a particular year for a particular country.